Thank you very much, Ka, and thank you very much for everyone's. And yeah, maybe I will start with the today's lectures. 4 minutes past then, but we will welcoming Kak Lian Gogali today in the lecture series funded by Berlin University Alliance with the topic of democracy and religious education in Indonesia. I will be serving as the moderator today. My name is Mutmain Hasham from Humboldt University of Berlin. And I will give some brief introduction for Lian Gogali. She is the founder and leader of Mosinto Institute, a grassroots civil organization based in Poso, Central Sulawesi, Indonesia, that empowers women and local communities in conflict-torn region. So she's also an author and editor of several books, such as Poso Conflict, The Voice of Women and Children Toward Memorial Reconciliations, and many of publications out there. So she also rewarded many prizes such as Gus Durian Award, People and Inspiration Award, Pegiat Perempuan Award, Woman of Change, Liputan 6 Award, Tokoh Perekat Republik, and Coexist Prize. For today's lecture, please use the chat function if you want to ask question, or raise hand button if you want to ask directly via video after the lecture. So please, if you want to deliver also express some idea, just use the chat function as what you want. So I think it's already, Kak Lian. Yeah, so moving along to our lecture, please welcome Kak Lian Gogali, who will talking on us on critical education as the basis for social movement. Please, Kak.
Thank you so much, Kak Ina, for the opportunity, including for Berlin Alliance University, for this opportunity to invite me to talk about how the critical education could be a basis for the social movement. I will talk in my limited English, so I will ask somebody to help me if I could not find any word to describe better about my presentations. Critical education as a basis of social movement. I will explain first where is Poso. As you know, that's Indonesian consists of thousands islands. So Poso is here in the central of Sulawesi, in the red dot here. So Poso, when you googling in Google or in the search machine, usually always described as a conflict area or terrorist area. So what I would like to explain now is how women can passing over, but also can transform themselves from victim to a survivor and to be the actor of peace and justice after they are joined with the several critical educations. I will start to discuss about the critical education as a basis for social movement with 3 stories. The first story is from Ibu Martinche. Ibu Martinche is a Christian. She graduated from a junior high school, experienced domestic violence. She is not really active in the village, including she often only like her activities only from her household to the garden and so on, never like involved in any village activity. She's also fled to the jungle and being refugee for 3 times in the period of conflict Poso, with her child who was still 2 years old during the time. Her house was burned 3 times by unknown people, but she suspect it's by Muslims group. And there is also her story when she is faced directly with armed groups during the conflict. Ibu Martinche family burned alive during the conflict, and three of her family also mutilated by the Islamic group during the conflict. So all these incidents make Ibu Martinche feel hatred toward the religions of Islam and trauma if she see the Islamic religious symbol. And for she herself told me that she really want to like beat someone if she see that they are Muslims or from Muslim side. Not only Ibu Martinche, the next stories is from Ibu Nenga. Ibu Nenga, she is Hindu. She is not even graduate from elementary school, experience layer of domestic violence, double burdens in the household, and she cannot speak in the public because she is afraid to speak. And during the conflict, she and her family evacuated several times. In 2014, this is a new incident. She experienced captified by Muslim armed groups together with her 2 months old child, and they are threatened to death with the Muslim arm during the time. That's why she feel fear to other religions, especially Muslims. The third stories is stories from Ibu Hadra. She is a Muslim, graduate from junior high school, and during the conflict, as other women in their family becomes a refugee several times with young children. That's why she's also holding anger groups and hatred towards the religions of Christians. She is also trauma to see Christian symbol and so on. The story of Ibu Hadra, Ibu Nenga, and Ibu Martinche is not only their stories, but also the other stories of women in several area in Poso district during the conflict. But during my research in the several refugee camp, what I heard is not only the story of the women who experience layer of violence and also trauma, hatred, and so on. But I also listen to the different stories of women when they help each other, when they support each other, even though they are different religions. One of the stories that I heard, and also I'm now like always trying to talk about these stories because this is really important. It's the stories of Ibu Sarino. She is before the conflict. She and other women's group in Tokorondo, they always like selling fish through the fish basket, walking around the village and go to the kitchen with the Christians' kitchen and talking, chit chat, and have a really nice communication. And but during the conflict, she is also flee to the other city because her house is burned down. But after that, she decided to come back to Poso, and she said that if I die, I will die in Poso, not in the refugee place or in other house, not her house. And during that time, she decided to start to sell the fish again, even though during the time there is still a bomb, there is a mysterious killing in several places in Poso. But she is the first woman who trying to sell feast, to other Christian community. As you may heard, but maybe not, during the conflict, even the food has a religions, because usually the feast, because most of the fishermen or fisherwomen is in the coastal Poso, and most of them is Muslim, so people identify that a feast has a Muslim religions. And in the other side, in the mountain side, most of the community is Christians, and they plant vegetables and so on. So the tomato has a religion as a Christian, something like that. But Ibu Sarino break these assumptions, and then she selling the fish basket, and then this is the first time the community of women has a communications during the conflict, and they trying to build trust between each other. But the story of Ibu Sarino never heard or never told by the media, and all the women that I told you before has a dominant discourse about the conflict. Most of them only believe that the conflict is between Muslim and Christian, even though they are themselves is asked about why we have this conflict when we have a really good relationship, or we are a really good family before the conflict. So there is still like questions, but the dominant discourse is dominate the discourse, and make their own voice, make their own stories is disappear. So myself believe that educate women is a part of the tools to make the stories of the women that help each other is has a space, but also the memory of the women about the relationship between Muslim and Christians also could have a space, and then do not dominate or silence by the dominant discourse that the conflict was only about the Christians and Muslims. Actually, this is also based on my personal experience, because I feels like not I feel I experience how the educations saved my own life. The first stories is when I face to face with the local jihadists, and they asked me about, because during the time I'm a researcher, and I'm in one room with the local jihadists, and they investigate me and ask me so many questions, and if I answer wrongly, so maybe I will not alive until now, because they ask about the rumor that there is a Christians using headscarf, but actually she is a spy, and what the spy that they mean is me, because I'm a researcher, and I'm using headscarf also to cover my ear and my head during the time. But luckily I'm graduate from the theologian, and I can answer really clear and loudly about the relations between Muslim and Christian, and also because I grow up in Poso, so I can also tell about my experience as a Muslim, as a Christians with my family who have who also Muslims. So this is the first story of my personal stories, but also because I choose to be a single mom, and to be a single mom in the conflict area and in the patriarchal society, there is a lot threatened, but also pressure, to marry it, or there's so many different rumor about to be a single mom who giving birth without married. But I have my education to answer all the questions, to argue with my family, with the church, with the community, with the tradition, and so on. So if I compare with the other women who I research in the refugee camps, there is a one NGO who make a descriptions that during the conflicts there around 3,000 women experience sexual abuse during the conflict during the conflict, and most of them also cited by the community pressure to marry with the perpetrators or with the rapists and so on, because they have no argumentation to fight for their own rights. So these two stories actually there's some then other stories make me believe that if women has educations, see at least will fight for her own rights. And in the same times, I believe that if we educate women, will not only change their family herself first, but also their family, but also change their community, and maybe can change the world. So that's how, oh, I'm not translating this yet. So that's how we open the women's school. The women's school has meeting once in a week for 1 year, where this school is open for different religions and beliefs from women's. Most we are focusing on the grassroots women's, and we learn about nine modules about the women's and peace. Women and peace modules is like how to analysis about the conflict also in women's perspective, in women's voice, and so on, and finding our own voice about the conflict, because usually the discourse of the conflict usually only from the government, only from the military, only from the security forces. So we want to have the women's voices about the conflict itself, and based on that, we trying to build trust. And of course, the second module is about gender, and then about women and culture, women in politics, and then another, like I think this is the fifth modules about the public speaking and rationing skill, is one of the favorite modules for the women, because they learn a lot how to argue their opinion to other people. And it's and the ecosocial rights, sexual reproductive rights, and also solidarity economy. This is the curriculum in the women's school. And then of course, because the women's school is a space for the women who meet for the first time after the conflict. Most of them is a victim, and they experience directly the conflict, like Ibu Martinche. Of course, the first function is that as a meeting space, because as a meeting space, they need to unravel the prejudice and build trust between each other. And the way how they unravel the prejudice, for example, the Christians, there is one activities in the women's school where the Christians can visit the mosque, and the Muslims can visit the church, and also pura itu apa ya? Temple. Oh my God, yes, and temple, and they can ask anything they would like to know, or they suspicious about. For example, the Christians will ask the Muslims about the jihadists, about why about the halal and haram, why other Muslims cannot shake hands, what is the philosophy behind that one. But in other hand, the Muslim can also ask the Christians about the Trinity. Is that true that Jesus is God, and or Maria is a mother of Jesus, and why the pastor cannot marry? And so all the questions that they are suspicious, and some of the question is most like a technical, but some of the question is mostly like really conceptual. But this is the space for them to like sharing to each other, and to not only as a meeting space to meet and to tell their own story during the conflict, but also to understand about the other religions. So then they will can build trust. And for example, I will tell a story about Ibu Miliana and Ibu Sumiati. I'm really proud of this picture because I took by myself during the class, and this is the moment when this is the Ibu Miliana and Sumiati hug each other for the first time after they are holding the anger and prejudice for many years, because Ibu Miliana, the Christians, suspicious that Ibu Sumiati will poison her family by selling food. And also same talk from Ibu Sumiati that Ibu Miliana will persons their water. Sorry, because they took water from Ibu Miliana because and make them will die. So they for because they're suspicious, so they pressure themselves to look for other water from other place because of this one. And while they tell this story and they laughing to they're suspicious and they hug to each other, and I'm really like happy to like witness how they like telling their own story, and then they found their own uh, kesimpulan apa ya.
The
So
conclusion.
conclusion about the prejudice, about the assumption about this. I'm not the one who make the conclusion, but they are the one who processing the conclusions. But also the women's schools is the space to build solidarity, to have collaborations, because after they understand to each other, they can respond together to any event that's always imagine that POSO is a conflict and conflict area only. For example, the picture here with the obor itu apa ya? This picture is when the Christians women from the mountain agree to each other to come to the Muslims, most not only Muslims, but majority Muslims village, because for almost four months they are in hunger because they could not go to the mountain to plant something because of the security operation for the terrorists. And then they build solidarity and they push the military that we need food, and then the woman needs to plant something. The woman needs to do something for their economic, to prepare the food and so on. So what is interesting for me is like, because a day before this peace action is there is like an announcement from the security that the people do not allow to go at 7 p.m. But we are go to the street in the evening from 7 p.m. until 11 p.m. in the center of the one of the incident of the bomb, to give the protest. The picture in the center is when we have a protest, also Muslim and Christian, to the event of the terrorism. And then this is happened. It's only like 500 meters from the attack between the police and the terrorist group during the time. And the woman said that we need to be here and then speak our voice, because we need to announce to the world that it's not about Muslim and Christian, that we are okay and we fight for peace and so on. So, and also this is the collaborations to talk about the development post the conflict. So of course, Ibu Martinche now become the woman who offer the local regulations on the women participations. Ibu Nengah now become really like a leader in her family, and she is gathering. She is also invite many women to join, and many other women now is becomes leaders in their community. The total of the women's school graduate is 523 or 25. I forget about this, but it's a 520 something, and 200 of them, it's not only transform themselves, but also transform the community and work with the community. Why? Because it's really interesting for me, because after the third batch of the women's school, the women ask a really critical questions to me, and like I have no answer during the time, because I don't think about it. The question is about this. If usually if you graduate from the university, it means that you will work to some to a company or something like that. Yeah. But how about the women's school? How after we graduate from the women's school, where we will apply to work in any company, something like that. And they we have a like a women festival with all the women's school graduate. This is the some of the picture, and we discuss about okay, so what we will do after we have these educations. And the conclusion is that we will apply to the community, we will work for the community, that we will what they call as a reform village team, kind of like a women reforms team pembaharu desa itu apa sih? Women village reform. Yeah, kind of. So and then they set up 5 team. First is the safe house team, where they would like to campaign about violence against women, about the women's rights, but also advocate the violence against women and children. Now we have already 25 active women advocates, paralegal. I mean, they also build a solidarity economy. They also advocate the community service in the village. They also open this children's space in the village, and also they are also have like a they are also being a citizen journalism by report what happened in their village and so on. So they are now working together. But of course, after the conflict, this is not the end of the stories, because we're dealing with the other stories. There's the other story, which is the development policy, who focus only about the investment and about the security policy. So we're dealing with the fact that that we are now have a palm oil plantations, we have hydropower electric, we have gold mining, we have nickel apa itu ya, nickel mining, yeah, in some area in and then so this is becomes another thing that women sort like dealing with to dealing with this, there is something that's what we call that there is a imagination on the posto or in the village about welfare and prosperity. There is imagination that's pressured by the national governments about that the welfare and prosperity is about the modern life, about how you have the access of things and technology and so on. And if this is the imagination of the welfare and prosperity, so it means that many land grabbing, yeah, will happen. So we'll have no access again to the water. We will not have access to our own land, and the diversity will be lost. The climate change will be, it's part of the climate change. We make it worse and things like this. So we decide to develop the women's village reform, to set up what we call as a village reform school, to reclaim the interpretations on development. So we actually already moved on from the conflict. We are now working post-conflict, and we are trying to reclaim the interpretation on the development through the village reform school. And the curriculum is a prosperity concept. We want to like reclaim that what we mean about the prosperity, welfare, and so on, based on what we have about the water, the land, and so on. And village geopolitics, geospatial and social spatial village, gender and development, village law, and planning, how we planning based on what we have, and so on, village regulation and solidarity economy. So we want to make sure that the village that be established post the conflict has justice for the people. But we also have the story, another story, yeah, about the children's, about the youths now who has a history, a memory facing the post-discourse as a communal conflict, terrorism, gender-based violence, and so on. So there's also a story about this. I could say that during the conflict, actually, the children voice is always ignored, and many people doesn't think that this is important to think or to talk about the children. Now they are youth, and and then what is the imagination of Poso in their time, and how they can also become part of this movement. So then they are could be the people who work together to to make sure that the imagination on Poso welfare and prosperity is their own, not others, like that one. So we meet with the youths, and well, actually, since 2010, 2009, I worked also with the children's, and now the children's is already youth. Some of them is already married. So I following their step, and then I know that some of them is has a need meeting space, space for dialogue, space for creativity, space for participation. But how? Because we also have a challenge in the globalizations, modernity, technology, internet, and so on. How to make this critical education fun as as youth, as a youth imagination. So that's how we come to the idea to have a school for youth by the method what we call as a youth school. Actually, in our bahasa, we call it is sekolah rumah kita. How to translate that? Sekolah rumah kita. Kita means our house, is like our imagination, our house, imagination, our house. Can you help me, Kak Ina, to translate this one?
The school of us.
Okay. The school of us.
Or ours.
Oh, I think the school of us is
Kak Lian sepertinya
yeah,
yeah.
difficult. Yeah, I'm trying to find also the word as there is. So that
there is a
hello.
Yeah. Now it's good. We have a internet connection before. Yeah, bad internet connection before. Kak Lian. I think we lost you, Kak. There must be some problems with yours. We cannot hear you at the moment. Maybe try to turn off your video, Kak.
So in the school of our home.
I think we lost Kalian at the moment, and then we might try to wait for her to come back again with us in the Zoom. Well, there's some suggestion. Sekolah rumah kita, the school of our home, or yeah, maybe that's the translations for sekolah rumah kita. I was first, I thought that rumah kita is such a kind of abbreviation from something, but yeah. I will check whether Kak Lian is here with us. Try to contact her first.
She doesn't seem to be back yet. It's like she gave us the task to solve and excused herself. And now we have to work on the translation. And maybe if we do a good job, she comes back. Well, let's hope that she'll be able to reconnect there. She seems to be back. Let's hope that this works now.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, is my voice clear?
Now, yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. So I will try without my face, without my face, only my voice. Okay. So so the youth school or what Lisa said is the school of our home is based on our local knowledge on the based on our local knowledge on the values that we have in Poso. So we have 2 years research in Poso district. In 2 years research, we look for the values of Poso people or Poso community that could be the value of us that we can keep this and fight for this one, and then that we're proud of this. So we found 12 values. The first values is spiritual values. The spiritual values is based on the stories that actually since 1892. So 1892, there is a first interfaith dialogue in Poso between Muslim and Christian, where the Christian missionary arrive in Poso and meet with the Muslims leaders, and they meet together and discuss about where the Christians missionary could share the Christianity, and the Muslims leader not only asked the Christians missionary to stay with him in the house, but also bring him and show him where the place. So this is the first dialogue that's ever happened in Poso actually, and we want to learn from these values that it doesn't matter your religions. What matters is your humanity and so on. And the second values is the families. Family, kekeluargaan itu apa ya, Mbak?
Family.
Families, values. Because we have a story. This is based on a long story about how we are all united in one family, but we separate. Before we separate, we have the stone as the agreement that we still think as a one family. And the third values is trust. The trust is based on the story of Ibu Sarino and women in Tokorondo. The fourth values is simplicity. Kesederhanaan itu apa ya?
Modesty.
Simplicity. Modesty values. This is based on the culture technology to catch fish in the Lake Poso. That's really has a high philosophy about how you mengelola alam itu ya apa ya?
Natural
managing the nature, yeah, like that. And then the value of independence, or the value of independence based on the community who established, the organic garden in Salukaya. The value of justice and the value of equality. It's in Mosinto because the cultural and religious leader agree that the Mosinto has this value, and also the value of peace is everywhere, and we every stories the values of kesatriaan itu apa ya, Mbak?
chivalry.
Chivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's based on the story of community who fight for the justice here in Poso. This values of solidarity is in the one village we call Malito village, because they has values where the Muslim and Christian support each other during the conflict and until now. And the values of diversity is in the Pinedapa city, Pinedapa village, because Pinedapa in one small village has 27 ethnicity and two religions, and they live together in harmony. And of course, the values of local wisdom is in Mali, in Dulumai. So all these villages is all these values is the place for us to learn and to keep the values and to develop the values in the development in the future. And the method is not in the same room, but the method is the youth from different religions and villages. They come together in one village to another village. They stay there. They engage with the community. They work together and so on. Okay, so that is a story about women and youth. How about the religious leaders? So religious leaders often becomes a symbol of peace when they shake hand, which is it's not as good as in the picture. Actually, this is a picture of Malino declarations, a peace declaration for Poso. Most of them, of course, men, and then and as I told here in the text, that usually is kind of an arena or space only to ensure stability, only strengthen the political and economic system that has caused conflict and instead creates new vulnerabilities and injustice in the name of rehabilitation, reconstructions, and security. So religious leaders often used by this. So usually if in the first years when after I established Mosintu, I often listen about if there is some bomb or incident happening in Poso, the religious leaders will come and speak, no, we are good, and so on and so on. And it's like it's a politics stage like that one, and not really reach the grassroots. And then as I mentioned here, it's a cause conflict and creates new vulnerability in injustice, because after they use in the name of peace, the religious leaders also use to legitimate the investor, legitimate the land grabbing, because if land grabbing. So what we think that we need to also engage with the religious leaders to become more critical on the situations, and that's the peace is nothing without justice. Peace is nothing when you are not care about the phenomena, the situations around you, about the diversity, about the poverty, about justice, suffering, and environment issue in post-conflict, because that's the real situation now. So we are now gathering with Mosintu working together with two big organizations. One is the Islamic organizations, which is Al Hayrat, and second is theology institutions, is Christians, and then their scholars join together with the religious leaders to discuss about this issue. So they are not only discuss about what peace mean for the Muslims, what peace mean for the Christians, not, but they are also, we are trying to engage the religious leader to really engage with the problem in the society, with the poverty issue, with the justice issue, with the suffering. So then they can also make a speech in the praying time in the mosque or in the church about this, and then give support to the people who fight for their to fight for their justice. So for us here, the critical education is really needs to make balance between the local knowledge, local experience, using language that could be accessed by the people that have the emotion with the people, with the concept from outside. So I think only with that, I think the critical educations could be basis for the social movement. And if the social movement, what we mean with the social movement, so it means that the critical educations like women's school, village reform school, school of diversity, our home school is a space, but the owner of this space is the people itself. It's not us, like it's not Mosinto, it's not me, but it's people. So then they as the owner of this of these critical educations, they it can move them to respond on the situations that's happens now. So I think I will stop about this. I'm sorry for the long explanations. I hope it's clear enough, and then I'm looking forward for the conversation. And I'm pretty sure I will learn from the questions and the conversation here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kak Lian. Now you can turn on your videos. Yeah, it's really excellent and distinguished works you have in POSO. I really learned a lot, and also all the participants. I hope you all enjoy this amazing presentation. Especially these really give us hope. Especially recently the rise of intolerance act and the rise of conservatism is really wiping out all over in Indonesia, and we see a new kind of conservatism that's also spread or across. So I will open Q&A session right now. If you have questions to ask directly, please raise your hand, or you can chat, use the chat function button. I saw Saskia raise the hand. Please, Saskia.
Yes, first of all, thank you so much. It was really rich and interesting also to walk us through this history. And I'm, of course, most interested in this kind of deeper layer of peace that you've discussed. I really like how you talk about the conditions of peace and how it can also be used to stabilize a situation that will only then bring about a new kind of conflict and vulnerability. So thanks a lot. I'm curious to hear a little bit more about your allies over the time. So who were your allies, or who supported these meeting spaces, during or shortly after the conflict? Who were the main actors who supported this, also facilitated some of the infrastructure in terms of funding or spaces? And then whether there were any efforts to build this into kind of more mainstream schools as a regular element, if there was anything like that. And then who the biggest supporters are at the moment. You've mentioned these two religious institutions. Curious to hear more about them, and then who else is on your wish list of supporters and allies? That's what I'm currently most interested in. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Saskia. And I think Kak Lian was not with us during your question. I will, hello Kak Lian, I will reply again the question. Okay, Kak Lian, who are the allies and who support your activisms in Musintu Institute, and who facilitate the funding, and what kind of efforts to maintain this movement that you have? Who are your biggest supporters? Especially, you also mentioned some of religious organization and institution before. Yeah, maybe that's from summary from Saskia's question.
Yeah, well, my biggest support is my daughter. Well, yeah, for me, she's my hero because I'm like I I stand for her. That's why like I think the school is important because the story of me and my daughter is a single mom. The story of me and my daughter is that the first like things that make me like think about the needs of education for the woman. So I could say that I start with my laptop and my handphone during the time. So it's not directly with the donor. So I'm starting with my laptop and my handphone and going around one village, not one village, I mean one house to other house, and no one trust me. No one trusts me, especially women, especially in the elite women. So I mostly accepted by the grassroots women because they have a same feeling with me. So that's how I start in, and I'm really lucky to have my daughter during all this journey until now. And then I think I'm first got the support from the funding when there is one researchers interview me, and then I told her about my dream about the women's school that in what am I doing now, and she asked me to if I want to propose some proposal, and I say I have no experience on this, and then she teach me, and then she give me a really simple proposal, and then we send, and then I think after that I have more college during time. I have my best friends to join with me to going around the village and unite more women to join with this women's school. So the first donor that we got is from Netherlands. It's called Mensen Met and Missy, and they just trust my story. I don't know why, because I believe my proposal is not really bad. Like I have no experience on that, and then I need during the time there is a hundred of international and national NGO in Poso. It's 100 and many activists in Poso, and I'm not following the method of the other NGO because one of my critic to other NGO, including national and international NGO, is the way how they change the culture of the people by giving money to people to come for the meeting. And I it's like a totally change the culture of the people, because as a person who live in Poso, I know that if there is some problem, the people in community only pukul kentongan itu apa sih, hit some pukul kentongan, make some alarm by
hitting the bamboo.
hitting the bamboo, and people will come and join and do discuss something with and not by paying by money. So I think that's the first support, and maybe the second support is it's from my friends who because my background is a researcher, not I have not really have experience on organizing an organization, so this is my first experience to establish organization, actually, because I'm used to be a researcher, but I'm using my research actually to establish in the program. So most all of our program, not most, all of our program is always based on the research first. So I think the research itself is help us to support this one. That's why most of the activities is not really took many money. What we need is only transportations and yeah, communications. Not we have no fancy office. Yeah. Yeah. But I think I'm blessing by the universe, because in 2012, after I got my first funding in 2011, and in that 2012 I got Coexist Prize, and they give me money, a lot of money that I never have before, and the money I used to open the another school. So that's how it's open now. And now we are trying hard. Yeah, not really successful, but we are trying hard to have our own economic solidarity. So um, we are open our house as a homestay, open a restaurant, open also the rural enterprises from the women's who doing like their rural enterprise here, and so on, to support, at least to support the staff. Maybe not only the operational, not the program. And we are lucky enough that our program usually, because we close enough with we really close with the community, so most of the program also support by the community also. So it's not really, yeah.
Maybe Kak, which religious institutions or organizations that you are in cooperation with?
Oh yeah, so we work together with Al Khairat. Al Khairat is the biggest Muslim organization in Central Sulawesi now. And I signed an agreement with them to open the School of Diversity, and it is in 2018. It's new, and in 2019 I signed an agreement. We signed an agreement with the STT. STT is a school for the theologian. The school for the theologian. It's a for the priests, yeah, for Christians priests.
I was also actually quite curious, because previously you are showing your pessimisms on the religious elites who are working on the peace for apostles. So how, what make those organizations different with those religious authorities?
Yeah, so our work concept is a grassroots. So what we meant with the religious leader is not the high elite religious leaders, but even though like we signed an agreement with the big organizations, but we work with the grassroots religious leaders in the small mosque in the village, like and also we work together with the Christian religious leaders or wannabe it's apa ya masih mahasiswa gitu, to be a priest to be priest, not in the high position, no, because the high position sometimes is already include the political. So what I only using is the labeling of the big organizations, not the community, because we look for the community by ourselves. Like it's not controlling by these big organizations. So yeah, so because like I'm quite like sad, because most of the religious leaders now who usually active post the conflict or during the conflict is now involved in the politics. Yeah, so they often support a political party and so on, and it's not and yeah, well, as I mentioned before in the text.
Yeah, maybe off the record. Well, I have actually one question, Kak, if you don't mind. I'm really interested with your feminism perspective, and you empower women. So, because feminism's most people thought that it's groundly in the West, and feminism is incompatible with the culture of Indonesian society. What are the challenges to break those walls? Is there any special efforts you are doing on how to blur those boundaries, and also what are the local wisdoms and values you take? Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Kaina, for the questions. So I will start with the story of I really like her story. I really, you can say his story, but I really like her stories. And then I'm always as a researcher, I'm always like look for her story in Poso, and I found that actually there's a silent stories of women in Poso that now is pressed by the religion. So actually in Poso we have spiritual leaders. It must be women. So we have stories that our spiritual leaders is a woman, and the spiritual leaders is connecting not only with the God or the creator, but with with the universe, with the nature. So and then talk with the nature, like discuss with the nature, and then to decide about what should be we do in our daily life and so on. But the religions, I mean Christians, with the missionaries when they come to Poso, and they come by bring the perspective of a really patriarchal perspective on the Christianity, because they start with the we teach the men as a teacher, and then the women's as a spiritual leaders, they talk as a animism, yeah. Usually if you're not part of the religion, big religion, so you are must be animism and so on. So and then what is so if man position as a teacher, teach by the missionary during the time, and the woman is teach to be a wife of the man. And how it's changed, which is for me it's really sad, the switch between these woman spiritual leaders to be a woman domestic life, it's to the fork, to the garpu, apa ya, garpu sama sendok apa sih?
Or utensil, yeah, the utensils.
The utensil, yeah, utensil. Why? Because when the man teach to be a teacher, the woman teach to manage a table in the household. How you using the spoons, how you using the fork, itu apa sih, fork, and how you where do you put in the table, and so on and so on. That's how it starts, how it switch the role of the woman. And these stories is never told to us. And then so that's because before a woman has three position. One is a spiritual leaders. Second is as a doctor, because only women who knows the herbals in the mountain, in the forest, to as a medicine and so on. The second one is as a negotiator for their land during the war between the ethnicity. Woman is a negotiator. It's a high position to negotiate. The another position is as a judge, to judge something that happened in the community, but it's switched because of the fork and in the table. I mean, so in the women's school, we talk about feminism without say it's feminism. How we do it? By sing again a song of the Kartini. Yeah, you know the lagu PKK, ya. So you know, not Kartini, I mean Ibu Tin. So Ibu Tin has creating a song that influence perspective of women in the domestic life, as we know as PKK, ya. And they have a really famous song, and it's actually, the song is the doctrine. the doctrine in the song is mentioned that women's roles is only to manage the family, yeah, never go out from the pagarita apa sih, hench, yeah. So that's the song. So in the women's school we discuss, I asked the women to sing the song, and we discuss about the song and ask them the roles of the women through the song, if they agree or not, and so on. And then after that we discuss about the her story of woman that be silenced for so long, to discuss about this, which is for me is really interesting, the conversations. But also we also discuss about the bukan arsitek, apa sih kalau desain rumah itu, design in the household, in the household, yeah. When you have a house in Indonesia or maybe in other place, I don't know, but in Indonesia especially, including in Poso, our household has a terrace, living room, bedroom, and the kitchen. And kitchen is always in the back, yeah. So if there is a guest come from either like the religious leaders or village leaders comes, they will be in the terrace or in the living room, and the woman in the kitchen will come bringing a tea or coffee, put it in the living room, and then leave again back to the kitchen. So actually the concept of the household is also part of the structural way to conceptualize uh, the 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 space for the woman role. So that's how like we trying to like break this concept, and then discuss about the woman, discuss from the song, but also discuss with the house, like that one. And in this way I will tell that we give a different meaning on empowerment. Because like this one, usually people say the empowering is like you empower people, right? Like they often say that I'm empowering the woman, I say no. it's not, that's not what's happened. What's happened is we empowering to each other. That's why in Poso we changed the word of empowering using our own language, what we call pakaroso. So pakaroso, it's the word that we choose to change the concept of empowering, because the empowering has kind of like apa ya, class ya, apa sih namanya, class, class of the education, yeah, to empower someone, yeah. In fact, what we call as a pakaroso, that we empowering each other. In bahasa what we call as saling menguatkan. Itu apa bahasa Inggrisnya itu?
Strengthen one another.
Strengthening to each other, ya. Kayak itu kayaknya gitu. Jadi we see feminist work as a part of empowering each other. So I'm also learn during this process. What am I doing in the women's school, in the women village school, in the school of diversity? It's the constructive, deconstruksi apa? Deconstructing the local knowledge, the local experience, the language of the people, to be a new knowledge, that the knowledge is their own. It's not me. It's not Otherwise, it's like government is usually always say penyuluhan kan? penyuluhan itu apa sih? Penyuluhan. So what is penyuluhan ya? Penyuluhan apa ya bahasa Inggrisnya?
Empowerment, but it's not into the level into empowerment actually.
Yeah, so penyuluhan is
training.
Yeah, more like socialization.
Yes, socialization, that you have the knowledge, you want to teach someone, yeah, based on your knowledge.
Yeah.
That's I think in the feminist work, it's not like that. We believe on we believe that we learn from the local knowledge, local experience. So that's why for me myself, the feminist work is also based on the grassroots local experience, knowledge, and so on. So I hope I answer your questions.
It's a very nice answer, actually. Disa also have questions, I saw.
Yeah, thank you, Ina. Thank you, Kak Lian, for the presentation. I have one question about the youth school or the sekolah rumah kita that you talk about. Maybe you could tell more about the values that you use, like this all values, in what way these values are taught. And then I'm curious, like, who are the teacher, like who taught the values to the youth in Poso? Like, are you teaching it by yourself, or how, if you have teachers, then who are they? Maybe you could tell me more about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa, for the question. So, what we believe that's the critical educations that everyone could be a teacher, and then the teacher is our environment. The teacher is our environment, means that our society. That's how also the method in the our home schools. Oh my God. Can is it possible for me to share?
Yeah.
I only would like to share again the values, because the schools for the youths, we call it as a adventure school, actually, in the practice. Yeah, in the practice, because in the schools, like this one, in the values of spirituals. So there is a co-facilitator. So we're training the co-facilitator. The co-facilitator is the youth themselves, the youth in the village. So for example, the spiritual values is in Mapane village. So there is 5 youths there who have a research. We have research before, but we want them to learn again about this, about the values by themselves for many months, and after that they trying to give meaning on that, and after that they elaborate the method. So actually, I could say that the teacher is we cannot say is a teacher, but a facilitator, and then the other youths from other village, because the youths, the co-facilitator is a 5 person in the village, and the youths participant is come from different village. There is like a 120, if I'm not mistaken, from different villages, different religious, different ethnicity, and so on. They come to this village, and they stay there for 1 night, where they go, what they need to do, and so on. It's elaborate by this co-facilitator, but they will visit the so there is like one small mosque there, and also one small house. It's really old house, and they will meet with the community there to discuss about the values, to discuss, to have questions, but also to walking around to discuss with with women, with other people there, to not only to know about the values, but how the people live with the values. So everyone in the village is part of the values. Actually, for us, it took around 3 years to make these schools before it's launched, because the values itself, we want that the community first trust the values and then living with the values. So they part of this one, and some of the villages or some of the villagers is not really trust with the values, and so we need to negotiate with them and thinking again and so on. So so the first learner, pelajar pertama itu adalah komunitas itu sendiri.
First is the community itself. Yeah.
Yeah, itself, and then the co-facilitator, and then the youth from the outside. So this is so it's not an event, yeah, like you know, like when we visit some when we visit Borobudur or some object wisata, no. But it's like we give meaning on that, and everyone can have their own interpretation on the way how they listen to the stories, and like bergaul itu apa sih, have a
Socialization. Yeah.
have a socialization with the community. So this is also happen with the other values, like the values of trust, the values of for example, the values of independence. There is a 70 women work in the organic market. So the youths from different villages can learn from different women. They even follow. So they even follow the women from the way they go to the garden and have discuss from morning to the evening, and then they work together with the women to plant something. That's happen. So they are not only come like a tourist, yeah, no. The youth as a participant in the school is not come as a tourist who want to learn about something and do not like trying to do something there as a part of their meaning, yeah, give a meaning. So for example, in the values of independence that we already did, the youth will working also in the garden and plant something together there, and then some of the youth is like really they always really have a funny or funny conclusion, yeah, like experience also, like, oh, this is the first time I have the pacul, yeah. And so on, and then they now they now understand about where the food come from. That's the food is not like a magic like this in your table. No, there is a long process, and you need to manage your nature, and someone's work for it, and you need to respect. So there is so many different values actually in one place that they could give meaning on that. And I myself actually admire and always say, wow, their interpretation, their how they give meaning is really like I sometimes I never give I never have a talk about this. For example, about the, oh, I just know I will check my where my food come from, like that one. So it's really good. So it's a learning process, and then we do hope that this kind of activities is give small impact on the way how they like give meaning on their life, I think. So I hope it's answer your questions, Kak Disa.
Thank you, terima kasih.
Yeah, I saw also a question on the chat, but maybe this will be our last questions because we are limited of the time. So a question from Ahmad Haq. Can you tell me the stories of the children and youth there, and as they have experienced through the conflict and the earthquake and the development changes in Poso? I wonder if you know any story on how do they navigate the traumatic memories, and also how they identify and react to other religions post-conflicts.
I will talk while I'm trying to downloading the other presentation about the children's, because I think I need to show this this picture. Well, yeah. Okay, let me trying to. Sorry, it's Okay, so I will trying to start with the with my research, because I also interview hundreds of children in the refugee camps during the conflict, and they are Muslims, Christians, Hindu, and then I will show you one of the picture that I have with the children's that I'm successfully downloading in second. So this is a picture that's a drawing by the children in the refugee camps. In this picture is really detailed, yeah, about the children is drawing how the house is burned down, how they flee to the jungle. This is people who flee to the jungle, and this is a person who say tolong means help. And this is a car with the people who have a gun, and this is a people who have like a api, yeah, fire to burn the house, and this is people who like shoot something. But this is like quite detailed, and then I think like this is really like disturbing me, because I'm when my doing my research, I asked them about how God helped you in your life, and this is the result. So like the result of my questions is really like this I think these children I really remember, because uh, she's not only really detailed on the way how uh, she's a Christian, and then uh, she mentioned this is the word is bunuh dia, or kill him, kill her, and this is the people who doing and then wait me, this is people who go to the mountain and say wait me, and so this is said my house is burned down, what will I eat later, and so on, and so on. But what interesting in this picture, this child who drawing this not satisfied with the picture, and then she's drawing something in the back of the picture, and said the chronology, really detailed, the chronology of what's happened with her and her family, and it's really disturbing. So unfortunately, most of the NGO, when they come to Poso, the first reaction is give them book. It's more like caricative way, like praying and so on, yeah, to make them not remember about that, but the memory of the children is still there. And I know really well, because I live with them. So I will try to say what we are doing, at least, yeah, because I don't know the other organizations. What we are doing is like to open space for the children to meet together, and then we using books, actually, books as a tools to so then the children can come together to read, not based on their religion. So the book is not for read actually. The book is for them to meet, and then without suspicious, because the colorful books for them is really interesting. In Poso, the book in the school is like in the published in 80 something. So it's really old, and when we bring the really colorful books, it's really for them, it's really like interesting, and then the family also join together to discuss with them and join with them. So this is the first step, I think. The problem is the story of the conflict in Poso is never ending, yeah, because we have now the terrorist issue, and then the terrorist act like in the because we just have a trauma healing actually in some Kalimago, in some area where 4 of the farmer mutilated by the terrorists, and then the children saw it, the body and so on, and it's give a traumatic feeling. And then of course, like we now like trying to support the psychological support but we also work together with the women to have the psychosocial support. And the psychosocial support, actually now I'm still learning because it's still new for me, but I got support from my friend, from a friend also to support us on this issue, to support the children's and so on. So what we are doing, we using books as a tools, but we also using storytelling. So we have a storytelling festival with children, because we think that a storytelling is not like, preach in the khotbah, yeah. It's not a khotbah or yeah, preach in the worship prayer, but it's like it's really fun but have a meaning, and children has imagination on this. So we have now around 27 mobile library, where we using books, and we develops what we call books dialogues, talking books, theater books, and so on, to make the children have a conversation through the books, like that one. But we also are using a storytelling. And what else? I think the storytelling and the we are also now develop what we call Rumah Belajar Anak Indonesia. Rumah Belajar Anak Indonesia is like how we connect between the children in Poso with the children in Aceh, Papua, Ambon, Jogja, Palangkaraya, Kalimantan. So we to connect that they're not alone. They are not only one. There is no only one religion. There's a diversity. We really reach, we connect, and so on. Yeah, so like that the things that we're trying to do, because we acknowledge that the memory of children still there. So what we want to do is like to dismantling, to trying to deconstruct, deconstruct the memory and give them another imaginations on the on in the future, like that one. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kak Lian, for the answering all these questions. Unfortunately, I need to call the today's lecture off because we have a limited time, and it is very great inspirations, and it is really a pleasure to have with you us today. If I may conclude today's lecture, we will learn a lot that the organic movements itself from the bottom up, it's empowerment from Mosinto Institute with Kak Lian activisms is an importance matter. Especially we should recognize the critical education, which is also a source of our movement and also a source of our solution for the conflict. And it was really insightful, because we learned a lot that the post-conflict rehabilitation programs, which empowering women through the critical education, not only will also become a post-conflict rehabilitations and also post-conflict reconciliation program, but it also shows that those organic grassroots movement grounded in local values will also become empowering community, from community to the community itself. And it's not only on the post-conflict traumatic, but also can expand into the education, to the economic sectors, and also to empowering community into a very really next level in Poso, something that we really learn a lot from Mosinto Institute and Kak Lian's activism in there. Actually, I still have a lot of questions, but maybe I hope we will have a next session with Kak Lian, or next time we meet in Berlin or in Indonesia. Well, but since we are really have a limited time, thank you very much for all the participants here. Thank you very much, Kak Lian, for having us here in the lecture. we still also have one more online lecture tomorrow, the last session of our lecture series with Irfan Sahindi, that will talking on his experience in pesantren or Indonesian traditional Islamic boarding schools. Tomorrow, we will look forward to see you and discuss more about this tomorrow. I hope see you again the next day. Thank you very much for today. See you, everyone. See you. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much.